Chapter 25, The Beginning of a Great Revival, Part 2. The second week had come and everything was as bad as ever. We never saw things freeze tighter, there was no warmth at all. Some of our best people had become so discouraged that they advised pulling stakes, and it seemed to us, from the human viewpoint, that a revival was far, far away. About this time God sent a Mordecai into the camp. He was a clerk in a dry goods store. He came to us saying, "I have to work hard all day, can't get here only at night, and have but little time to pray through the day. I will do this, I'll meet you here in the church at 3 a.m. and we will pray until 6, and we'll keep this up until we see the cloud the size of a man's hand. God says where 2 or 3 pray, in His name, He will be with them. Now let us agree, and pray until He breaks up this stubborn indifference." Mordecai and Esther prayed 3 days and nights and God saved the Jewish people. Is He not still the same God? Will He not answer us as He did Mordecai and Esther, and as He answered Daniel? I said, "I will go into this covenant with you with this understanding, if you get to the church first, ring the bell until I get there, and if I beat you there, I will be pulling on the rope when you reach the church." At 2:30 a.m. I awoke, hurried my toilet and had reached the high school building when Brother V began ringing the church bell. In a few minutes lights were in every home, and men running through the yards, dressing and screaming, "Fire! Fire! Fire!" We yelled, yes, at the church. Soon that big church had 320 souls in it. Think of it, at 3 o'clock in the morning and 0 weather, too, and a 0 congregation. How that good man did shout as he saw the people flocking into the church at that early morning hour. God saw that we meant business, that we were determined, that our hearts were breaking under the tremendous, crushing burden. He saw that 2 of us had agreed, and answered before we had time to pray. There was much excitement and people from various walks of life crowded into the church. We took out text and preached in the power and demonstration of the Holy Spirit, and conviction deep and powerful fell on that crowd. People sobbed aloud, the state's attorney jumped from his seat and hurried to the altar. How he cried to God for mercy, for forgiveness. He promised there at the altar to burn up an Ingersoll library and then he and his wife found pardon. There was a movement in the mulberry trees, and the meeting ran at high tide until Sunday morning. That morning while I was preaching the power fell and the head of the First National Bank, like a hoop came rolling by me down out of the choir into the aisle screaming, "My God! I am a lost man." There seemingly was a shock, a great break, and 83 rushed to the altar. Such a scene as followed is indescribable. About 50 men were gloriously converted that morning. Such shouting, such rejoicing, could only follow such an altar service. Children were in the arms of their parents, parents were in the arms of their children. One old sainted man attending this meeting from another town said to me, "I have never seen such a scene, this is simply out of the ordinary, God is here, God is with us." In this meeting over 300 were saved, and scores joined the church. It pays to be prayerful, and never listen to the whisperings of the devil. No matter what the hardness of the territory or the indifference of the people, if you will be true to God and stick to the old gospel guns, you will root the devil, stir hell, and victory will come. It pays to dig. This is a surface age and part of the people are doing nothing but surface work. That is easy, but not lasting, that is shallow, never deep, that is sowing on stony ground, no depth of soil. The hot sun will cook your seed. To plow deep is God's way, and must be ours, if we follow Him. God knows your needs and not a few times will answer before you pray. Let us be prayerful, for it is only through prayer that we can be victorious, more than conquerors upon every battlefield. A praying man has foresight, hence, plans for the battle, and never gets the least discouraged when things do not break up, when things do not break loose the first 2 or 3 weeks, but keeps drilling, drilling. He is after a well, is not digging a cistern. An artesian well overflows winter and summer, wet or dry, no matter about the surface, it never depends upon the surface water. We must take time to plant our artillery, dig trenches, man our heavy guns, prepare the fields for the battle. If the general gets discouraged, grows faint-hearted, it is contagious, it will spread throughout the army and the galling defeat is inevitable. The general must be level-headed, and have cool brains, but he must be hot-hearted, for he is to cheer, encourage, and hoist the army. Once a young sergeant came trembling, with tears in his eyes, to Napoleon, saying, "General, we are hopelessly defeated, they outnumber us 10-1. Napoleon straightened himself in his stirrups, saying, "Put me down for 25,000. I am worth 25,000 men, my skill, my ingenuity is worth 25,000 men. We will be victorious." And when the smoke of battle had cleared away, Napoleon's army had won one of its greatest victories. This great warrior knew how to tune his men for their greatest strength and their best fighting. In the heat of battle he was cool-headed and deliberate, never suffered himself to become nervous or the least discouraged. He enthused his army by his courage. Even so, Christians, we must plan for the battle, and where all is not sunshine and victory, then it is ours to be victorious and to encourage our weaker brethren. Prayer enables one to be on the best service to his fellows and his God. A prayerless man is a powerless man, he has no connection with the powerhouse, hence he is easily disheartened and put out of commission. We must be in the spirit of prayer. God help us to pray clear through.